Hi, I'm Stephan Bollinger. Welcome to 10 from the Couch, the show where we, as always, ask 10 questions to some of the most influential photographers in the industry. Today's guest is one of the leading beauty and celebrity photographers on the planet. His name, Matthew Jordan Smith. I discovered his work for the first time about 12 years ago when I came across his book Sepia Dreams. And ever since, I've been hooked and a huge fan. I was lucky enough to get in contact with him a few years ago, and for about 2 years we talked about him coming on the show, but for some reason we just never managed to align our schedules until this morning. We ended up talking for over 2 hours, and even if you cut those little private bits out here and there, it's still too long for YouTube. So we will have to break it into 2 parts, but don't worry, we'll post both of them at the same time so you can watch the whole thing in one go. Now, without further ado, let's jump straight in to my conversation with the incredible Matthew Jordan Smith. Well, Matthew, you're known for your work with the A-listers, the superstars, but also your incredible beauty images. But even you were not born with a camera in your hands.
Not at all.
So at what stage in your life, at what age did you actually discover your love for photography, which arguably is one of the best jobs in the world? Absolutely,
it is. It definitely is. I can go back and regress to my childhood. That is really the root of my photography beginnings. Actually, even before I had my first camera in my hand, I think I had a strong connection with people and trying to figure out how to relate to them. And but I was a shy kid, and my father saw that, and he gave me my first camera. My first camera, I was 12 years old. And he taught me how to take pictures, how to process those pictures. So the first images I made ever in my life, I processed. They were black and white pictures. My father turned our second bathroom into a makeshift dark room where I processed those pictures, my first pictures, and saw them come up in the developer, in the fixer. And from that moment on, I've been in love with photography to this day. It was also the tool that I use to meet people, to relate to people, to break out of my shy mode at that time. And everybody knew me at that point in my life as the kid who always had a camera on him. It was with me every day, and for the most part, it still is. But you know, my father was definitely the one who saw that in me, saw me that I needed something to break the ice with people. Now I'm breaking the ice with people who have a higher visual status, but the process is the same as it was when I was a kid, and I still love it. As a matter of fact, I love it now more than I did back then.
You know, I find it fascinating to think about that. You use the camera to overcome your shyness and create those connections with people. And in the long run, it has become your trade. I mean, I don't know how many times we said that before, that aperture and shutter speed are only about 10% of a great image. And the rest happens with that connection from behind and in front of camera that creates those magic moments. So really, when you think about it, the shyness has over time turned into one of your biggest assets.
That's very true. It's my best friend now. It's funny because, you know, even now if I go to an event or a social gathering, the camera still is the thing that I use to break the ice. Now today, everybody has a camera. So it's a tool that I still use, but it doesn't have the same effect that it used to have. But still, I'm very comfortable when I have a camera or I can talk about photography and work it in some way into building a strong connection. Because what a photographer does on a daily basis is pull the curtain back to hopefully reveal the true essence of a person. That's what I'm doing. Everybody has this facade that they put up, that they want the world to see. But if you're really doing the job right as a photographer, you're pulling that shade back. You're going and seeing a different layer of the person. And that's what I'm trying to do with each and every photo shoot. Get through the layers and get to the core of each person. And then they really shine.
Now, going through the list of all the people that you work with, I mean, one can't help to be impressed. I mean, from Samuel L. Jackson to Oprah Winfrey, Tyra Banks, being on America's Next Top Model. It is a huge list, and it begs for one question. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's a question that every young photographer wants to ask. How do you do it? How do you get these jobs? How did you, Matthew, get your foot into the door to get the first assignment? So we all know you deserve it, but how did you do it?
I can't take all the credit for that at all. I know I've been very blessed in my life. I know that. I think the real secret is people, whomever they are, celebrity or not, really feeling that you love your craft. Not seeing it, but feeling it. I started taking pictures of things I loved, of people that I loved, creating images with, and people saw that love in the images. And then they came after me and hired me to shoot the big celebrities. It's the same process that I do now that I did in the beginning of my career. I put a lot of time and effort into doing research to find out about the people I'm photographing. Now I have, people around me so I can help do the research, but I have interns, assistants who do that same thing that I did in the very beginning. We go through, we research each and every person to find out as much as we can on the person so I can work on building that one-on-one relationship. When I'm photographing anybody, I want to make them feel comfortable. My camera helps that for sure, but it's really what happens beyond the camera between that subject, whoever they are, big star or my mother or my sisters or my wife, doesn't matter. It's that connection between person to person that is so special. And if I'm lucky, in that course of dialogue between that person and myself, we create something special, and I'll capture the essence of a conversation in the picture. That's when it works.
I love it. If we are able to capture that conversation, as you say, then that conversation never ends.
Yes.
That's the beauty. We freeze that moment and we can share it over and over again. And these are the photographs that will stay with us for a very, very long time.
That's so well said. So very true. Because the image does last forever. If you're doing your job right, that image that takes an instant or 5 minutes or whatever it takes, it lasts forever. It lasts forever. I just photographed Taye again last week, and we were talking about not so much the images we've done over the last 15, 20 years. We were talking about all the experiences we've had together making those images. And that's what's special. It's the experience. And in that course of having this experience, we create great images together. And that's with all my clients, whoever it is. We're having an experience. And somewhere in the middle, I might get lucky and capture an instant of that experience to share with the world. But for my subject and I, we have the experience and remember that. And we share a glimpse of that with the audience. And I love that.
Now, working with a lot of celebrities, of course, also comes with a huge amount of stories behind the scenes. Some of them, I understand, not for the world to hear, but some of them you're quite happy to share. And if people want to read more of these sort of stories, they should really go to your blog. You share at least a few of them there, which is quite awesome. Now, there's two little stories I would love you to share with our viewers, and it is about the amazing Aretha Franklin. First, I find it fascinating how you managed to break the ice with such a musical icon, and I'm sorry, I cannot help myself. I would love you to tell how you were singing Aretha's biggest hits.
It's funny that you asked about Aretha, because I was talking to her even just this morning, my time. I'm photographing her again in 2 weeks. So I've now been working with Aretha for the last, wow, time flies. The last 9 years I've been photographing Aretha. But that very first time I photographed her, I was nervous, like I'm nervous about photographing anybody in the very beginning. So I'm doing my research. I'm trying to find out everything I can find out about her. And somewhere in that course of research, I found out that she loves yellow roses. So I sent yellow roses to her. And I'll do that same thing again on this shoot. I sent yellow roses to her, and she received the flowers. And the day before the shoot, she calls me and says, Matthew, she called me personally. And it wasn't a manager or an assistant. It was her calling. She's like, Matthew, no one's ever sent me yellow roses before. Thank you so much. And then she got to talking about what kind of food we want to have on the shoot. And that dialogue we had that first time, it really sealed our relationship. And it still does. We still get along very, very well. And still, whenever she hires me, she calls. And it's one-on-one. It's not, any agents or managers involved. It's just the Queen of Soul and I talking back and forth, putting everything together. And that's rare to have that, because now, today, you have a lot of other people who are involved, and you rarely talk to the artists themselves. But with Aretha, it's not that way. There's so many great stories I had with her, from that first time meeting her to getting comfortable shooting her. And the last time I worked with her, it was for her current CD that's out now. And on that shoot, where we're shooting, and I've shot her several times now, so I'm very comfortable with her. And she loves hearing her music. Who doesn't love hearing Aretha Franklin music? Clear, but she sings while we're shooting, so it's like getting a free concert. So I was feeling great that day. The music's playing. She sounds amazing. So she's like 3 feet in front of me. I'm shooting her, and I start singing along. And then all of a sudden she stops and she says, Jordan, she calls me Jordan. She's like, Jordan, honey, don't sing. And my assistants to this day, they still pick at me about that. But it was a great day. It was a great day. And every time I work with her, we have a great experience or a great story. And I'm looking forward to seeing her again in a couple of weeks and doing it again. And even now, even though I photographed her, for almost a decade now, I still go through and do the research to find out whatever is new. So I have a brand new intern right now, and I have even new assistants. So I have them doing research now, so we can walk in knowing everything that's current in her life as much as possible. It's easy doing that on the person who's a big celebrity. It's harder when the person is not a celebrity, but you can still do research. We have this social media today, which is very easy to find out about people. And it benefits you to know as much as you can about the person you are going to photograph, because it helps you not in getting better pictures, but it helps you in getting a stronger bond in terms of a relationship and knowing what to talk about to keep that energy going. Once you have that going, you'll get better pictures.
Well, it's also a very good way to create confidence, I guess. Because, how often do we go into a shoot where we think that we know exactly what we're gonna do, but then things don't go according to plan and we have to improvise. Having that extra confidence in our camera bag with us, it can make or break a shoot.
On every photo shoot, something will go wrong, guaranteed, because that's life. But as you become comfortable in your craft and gain experience, you know that you can work through any situation. As a matter of fact, it makes you a better photographer. I'm always telling my crew, the team, to be prepared for anything and everything because things will happen. But when you're challenged with those ups and downs of business, you're not scared of it. You go through and you learn how to navigate the storms and come out on top. And I love that. I actually love having some crisis happen on a photo shoot where something happens with either the lights or the gear or the subject, whatever, and you work through it. That's life, and that's part of a business, and I love it.
Now, one of the weapons that you have in your arsenal to resolve more or less every situation is your voice. It is that tone and the way you talk to people, the way you motivate people, which just goes straight under the skin. If anybody has been lucky enough to see you work behind the scenes or finds you on YouTube and sees how you talk to people, there's no way in a million years that anybody would feel uncomfortable in front of your lens. Do you think that is part of your success? And what do you think can other people take from that?
They can take quite a bit actually from this. They can take quite a bit from it. I think it is really the essence of my success, to be honest. You can teach anybody about how the camera works, shutter speeds and aperture. That part's easy if you really think about it. It's just the mechanics of how a camera works or how a picture is created. But how a great picture is really created is much deeper than that. And it is what I give in the process of creating that picture, how I make people feel in front of the camera is really the secret. And it is in every core of my being, from how I treat them, how I sometimes whisper when I shoot, to making sure they feel that I love what I'm doing. And that for that moment, they are the most special person on the planet when they're in front of my camera. And I do feel that way. It's hard to explain it, but it's almost magical. And everybody in the room, from the hair, makeup, stylists, assistants, whomever, they're all under that spell, if you will. And it's magical when it all works. And I love it. And I think my clients come back to me for that magic spell because it is an experience, and I love it.
So with being a successful photographer, of course, also comes the shadow side of the business. I'm talking about emails and social media and marketing and meetings and all those things that can seriously drain a creative. How important is work-life balance for you, and how do you refuel your creative tank?
How I stay connected and creative is to have a full life. And by full life, I mean it's time with family. It's time unplugging at times. I love shooting. I detest being on the computer doing emails, all those other things. Now, that is part of business, for sure. But I start my day in the morning by first going to the gym. And I go very early, before my wife is up and before the kids are up, because it's very important to give yourself to yourself before you give yourself away to the world. Because the rest of the day, I'm giving myself away. I'm calling clients, I'm doing emails, I'm doing, interviews, I'm doing all these things, preparing for a job or trying to get the next job. That's business. But then I've learned, and at first I had a hard time learning how to do this. I had to learn how to unplug from the matrix, as it were, and become a full person. Go out with friends, have dinners, go on vacation. You can work yourself to the bone, but at the end of the day, it is about being a full person, have a full life, because you are inspired by life. I'm not inspired by my time in front of a computer or sending emails or doing all these other things. I am inspired by life, because when I'm out having a full life, my work is better, and I can reflect that in the work. So yes, it's great to work, pay the bills and all that stuff, but you must unplug. There have been points in my life where I've been burnt out by just working. I think as artists, we all do that, but you must unplug. And sometimes for me, that means forgetting about work and just diving into a personal project. And my personal projects have always saved me. As a matter of fact, they're the way of getting my vision out without worrying about a client. Because when I'm shooting jobs for a client, all my attention, all my energy is on making sure that client's happy. When I'm shooting projects for myself, that's when I can have a chance to really shine and put my vision out there. And once I have those moments, then I can do a better job at making my client happy and making my family happy and ultimately making me happy.
I guess because you mentioned personal projects, one of the things for me that is so important with personal projects is also the freedom to experiment. Because so often when I work with clients, I have a very fixed set idea. And of course, it's essential for the client to know exactly what they're getting beforehand. That's why they book you. That's why they spend the money. So
Absolutely.
Reliability is a big part of it. Now, when I do my personal projects, I have that freedom to mess up. I have the freedom to make mistakes. And even if they're sometimes just those small little mistakes, and then afterwards I process the image, I look through and go like, how did that happen? A flash didn't fire, or this happened, or this and these certain combinations have created a certain look. And it's those lucky mistakes sometimes that then go as brand new experience into my camera bag, which I may or may not use in future commercial projects. But it gives me at least that freedom to experiment and, to mess up once in a while.
It is when you experiment that you come up with these new things, new ways of seeing, new ways of expressing yourself visually. And if you don't take the time to unplug from that rat race, you're doing yourself a disservice. You must unplug so you can discover new things and new ways of seeing and new ways of expressing yourself. It's a must. It's a must. Every time I do that, I always win and come out on top. So the secret is to do it more, unplug more, do more of your personal work, do more of your personal projects, shoot for you. When was the last time you shot an image just for yourself? I'm always experimenting and trying new things and always looking for new ways to light something or to shoot something or a different angle. I'm really looking for a new way to express myself visually. And that makes it fun. It's part of the process. It makes me a better photographer, a better person, a better visionary. Experimentation is key.
And it is fun. There's nothing wrong with having a little bit of fun as well. Now, of course, I had great fun going through all of your pictures and selecting the images that we will show all through the interview. But then I put 3 photos aside where I like to hear a little bit more about from you. The first one is clearly coming from this experimentation side of you. It is an amazing image with a butterfly. What is the story? What can you tell us about this image?
Oh, wow, quite a bit. So remember we were talking about having a full life. Well, this story has a very funny story behind it because what inspired me to do this picture, I was working and my stepson wanted to go to a museum. He wanted to go to a bug museum. And I wasn't really keen on going, but he wanted to go, which means I had to go. So we take him to this museum, and he's so excited about going. I mean, he's like so excited. So we get there, and the whole time I'm wondering, like, okay, how long do we have to be here? How long do we have to be here? And he's excited from the moment he walks in the door. He's picking up tarantulas, he's going through, and he's just having a great time. So we go into this one room, and it was called the Butterfly Pavilion. So we walk in there, and I'm like, okay, yeah, going to the Butterfly Pavilion. And I walk in this room. It was so beautiful. I mean, it was like the first time I'd ever really stopped to see butterflies. It hit me so strongly. They were everywhere. It was like the first time seeing and noticing the colors, the shape, the different sizes. I was in awe. I walked in this room and he's having a great time, but I was transfixed looking at the shapes and color and beauty of these butterflies. And in that moment, I knew I had to do a story based on butterflies. So as he went through looking at other things in the museum, my mind stayed in that room. So as we left the gallery, I'm like, okay, I've got to do this right away. So in my head, I've got to shoot something with butterflies. So as soon as I got home, I called my team. I called my hair person, my makeup person, and told them about this experience that I had. And then I went and started doing research, and I pulled out butterflies that I'd seen at the exhibit, and I sent them to the hair person, the makeup person. I'm like, I know this girl I want to shoot. I want to turn her into a butterfly. And at first they started laughing about it, and then they all came on board like, oh, this would be a great story. And we all came together, and we shot what I now call Madame Butterfly. And we shot picture after picture, and we do this one look, then wipe it all off and start again. And we did like 5 or 6 different looks of butterfly beauty on this model where we turned her into a butterfly. The makeup artist saw my images and painted this beautiful look on her face. The hairstylist saw the shape of the butterfly and turned her hair into the shape of a butterfly. And the results are Madame Butterfly in this image. But in the beginning, it was a story that almost didn't happen because I didn't want to go to this exhibit. But through my stepson wanted to go so badly, it inspired me to go. And through that experience, I was inspired by getting out and having a full life and then putting that life into the images. That's the essence of that story.
As a takeaway, I think it's also answering some of the questions people have, like where do I find my inspiration? Where is the next best idea? And so often it's just around the corner. It's our surrounding is bombarding us with ideas, but we are in our daily grind and we are not open to see them. We have to get ourselves into those situations where we are receptive to those ideas. And I always compare it to having a walk in a rainforest where you have 1,000 sounds, but we keep our headphones on and of course we can't hear them.
So true. So very true. What if I had blown off my stepson and not gone to this gallery? I would have missed out on being inspired. So when you get out and experience life, I mean, really experience life, maybe it means, going out and having vacations more. Maybe it means going out, taking time from your day and just getting out and walking in the streets and being inspired by what you see in your daily life. All these things make you a better photographer and make your images in turn become better as well.